first of all, what stood out to you about Davis, kind of looking at film at him, kind of when he's at Central Michigan? What have you seen kind of from his first week from him?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and we saw a little bit this summer, is he's got some athleticism. You know, he might not be quite as long as some of the tackles that have been here in the past, but he's got the feet, the move, and the athletic ability. Now to settle in with the guys. He's really smart, picked it all up. I mean, that's part of when we're looking at a guy like that, he's got to come from an offense where they've asked him to think about a lot, and he does a really good job at that. So he's just fit. Now it's the mesh with the guys, and it's time and contact and combos, and can't get enough of that right now.
Coach, where have you seen guys like Emerson and Cub, really get settled in a little bit more, and where is there still some room to grow for them as well?
Yeah, I think that class was freshman a year ago. It has really blossomed through spring, through summer. They know what football is. I always say for a year, you never know what the next day holds. Well, they're in their second year, so they know what fall camp is. They know what it's like when you come out of fall camp and transition to the season. So there's a little bit more of a calmness about those guys, and they can play ball. Where I think as a freshman, you're just trying to drink through a fire hose, and this class of young guys now, that's what they're going through. Super talented, but that's what they're going through too.
Emerson's got most of the work is with that number one team, number one group at right guard. Where do things stand, as you kind of try to figure out, what direction you're going to go to, fill that spot? Yeah, I think that, and even Davis, you got to make sure he's ready to go and sharp there. But Emerson's had most of them. I think he had the first couple days. We moved JP in. We've moved all those guys through a little bit to get a picture, and we're moving them around a little bit here these first week or two, really to see who works well together, who guys kind of trust and feel comfortable next to, and then who can produce. At the end of the day, it's production. And so that's the biggest thing to see right now is they produce. And he's physical, he's strong. We just got to make sure he keeps fitting in them. He's doing a hell of a job.
Coach, to follow up on that group of true freshmen, obviously some of those guys came in the spring, but how have you seen them grow and adapt to the challenge that is fall camp?
I think they've done well. I think those guys, the early enrollees, the three of them, the two that came this summer, I would say in routine, and a lot of it, Kevin Haywood's done a heck of a job helping onboard guys. He went through all this a year ago. And so as a group, they're probably ahead of where the group was a year ago. Knowing football and knowing what we're doing, and offensively we're doing a lot more for those guys. So there's probably more responsibility to learn. They're doing a really good job in that part. So I'm excited about the future of those guys.
When you're working with an offensive coordinator who's considered very O-line friendly, has an O-line background, how have you just kind of seen that resonate with your guys this season?
Well, where I came up as a player and a GA, that's what it was. Our head coach was a line guy. And we're all going to know, and I know where his eyes are going to go first, and I love it. If you pay attention to individual early in practice, I like to get him involved. There's sometimes we'll have four guys running drills. I don't think there's a better place in the country to develop as an offensive lineman. You got an O-line coach, an assistant O-line coach that's one of the Mount Rushmore guys that's played here in the lines from a culture and standard standpoint. You got a GA who played in the league, and you got a coordinator who's coached for 30 years as an O-line coach. So I use that as much as we can, and we're going to put that's going to give us a chance to put the best guys out there. We can do stuff positionally, we can do stuff as side, right and left side, but we really try and utilize that. But yeah, his eyes are there, and that's why you come to Wisconsin. That's what I said a year ago.
What do you expect to be the biggest difference in terms of what you're asking these guys to do in this offense? And would you say you sense some hunger out of these guys to be a part of an offense like this, specifically O-line?
Yeah, I do. I think the biggest thing on an offense like this, the strain. You guys talked to Nate yesterday, and the finish, the competitive drive, the physicality. I think that's where you see the difference. And it comes out, and you get to play in what you enjoy doing as an O-lineman. I get it, pass pro is great, and you got to work all that stuff, but you like running the football. And so we got to develop in the pass games. There's going to be conversion downs, and we're going to throw the ball plenty, but there's going to be more play action. It's going to be built around the run game. And as an O-lineman, it gives you a chance to run the rock and get some weight on your hands and go forward.
Hey Jay, with some of these battles, when do you want them to know by? Is there a date you kind of have in mind?
Yeah, we've not said there's got to be a hard date, but it's sooner than later. We want to get this ironed out, and we're kind of working in that direction right now, and just making sure we got, okay, if this guy goes down, who's next? How do we rotate it? And you get that Rubik's Cube figured out a little bit, but I think we're in a pretty good direction right now where we're headed.
So with someone like JP, we've seen that left tackle, we've seen that right tackle, we've seen that right guard, just where are you getting a glimpse of what he could provide on this line, or what he could provide this season? You do, yeah. And JP you've seen for a while. JP's played a lot of football. JP's really smart. Him and Leighton are guys we've moved around a little bit. Hey, is he a guy, one's got a chance to start here in this position, let's see how it looks. But two, as an older guy, you got to put a little more on your plate, and
if we have an injury at this tackle or that tackle, who's the better guy? And we played those two at both sides. And you're trying to make sure you have the next move ready at all times. You want to stay ahead of the game, and we're not searching for things. So yeah, I think older guys, you got to move a little bit more. You've been in the system a little longer. We can ask a little more of you. But you're also going to get your chance to go show on the film, I'm the best guy. I think that's what the first couple weeks of camp are good for.
We've seen Brunner really, seems like he's coming out of his shell a little bit in terms of leading and trying to encourage guys, and we see him like running down with his big plays, stuff like that. Just how have you seen that growth in him over last year?
I've just seen a guy that loves playing football, and it's okay to let that out. You know, I think when times get tough, and I've been places where it's been really good, I've been places where it's really bad, I've been places where there's ups and downs, and what I've found is the guys who love playing the game, you got to let everybody feed off of that. And so we've kept encouraging him to speak up and lead, and you see 3 or 4 more guys downfield where he's at blocking. You see more guys sustain the blocks longer. What you emphasize is what you're going to get. So if you sit there and you harp about all the stuff that's not right, you're going to get more not right. Guys put in their head what they see, what they hear. And so he's a guy we really get to champion how he plays and what he does.
As far as Riley goes, veteran guy, what's the next step, do you think, for him in terms of, his game?
I think the next step for Riley in his game is his leadership. He started speaking up more. He's taken a little bit of an offensive leadership position. You don't see the rah-rah, and that's not his personality. We don't want guys to be fake. We want authentic leadership. But he's the guy that speaks up at team meetings. He's the guy that if it is going bad, he'll grab it by the reins and say, let's go. And so I think that's been the part I've seen more right now from the football game is the strain and the finish. Really, out of all those guys, that's the difference in the 4 and 6 and 8 yard runs and 22, 24, and 48 yard runs. And so between them, the receivers, the offense, the fun part's been watching these guys do everything together. And that's what creates the big explosive plays.
You talk about strain and finish. That's something that might be hard for the lay person to actually see what that means. Are you able to show guys on film, like maybe you
totally.
Go back?
Yeah, we got to watch a little more of the wide shot, because if a guy's straining and finish and the ball goes away, once you're into that play for a second or two, you know who you have. He knows who he's tied up with, and it's that battle for 6 to 8 seconds. And it's how long you can stay attached. I don't care if I'm far away from the play, I never just stop and jog and watch. And that's the part where a ball bounces back or something cuts or somebody misses a block and it comes back to you, where that strain really helps make the big plays.
Luke mentioned some issues with snaps on Saturday.
Yeah.
How do you guys address those?
Well, we like anything else. If a guy has a trouble in a pass set one game, you got to go back, break it down, go to elementary 1 and work through it. We brought the next day when we had a couple snaps with the twos, is we brought some cameras out, we film it from the ground up, we see where the mesh is with the quarterbacks, we see where the laces are in the center's hands, we check his grip, we see if he's pulling or pushing. You just break down the mechanics like any other movement you would, and you saw that clean up for the guys that had issues today.
Brunner was really complimentary of you as a coach. The greatest coach, I think, was the word that he used. Knowing how to coach each guy. Was there a point in your coaching career where you kind of really refined that?
I don't know. You never go out to, hey, I want to be the greatest coach or whatever. I want to build great relationships with my guys. Because if you pay attention and you're in practice, you probably hear me, and I coach really hard. And I did it early in my career at times. You're going to cross that personal line a little bit, but I don't like to. But if you have that connection with those guys, that's where they can thrive. In this day and age, there's not a lot of people that will even come close to that fence. I'll be the first one to say, hey, Riley, I was wrong on that one. It was his eye should have been there. I try and correct those mistakes in front of everybody too. If you're going to coach them hard, and it's just a two-way street. And so I think at the end of the day, it's no different than any other business. It's people skills and relationships. I think that's coaching. That's all that is.
When you have a center like,
it was obviously tough blow to lose Kevin Haywood. Where is he at, kind of, and how are you guys able to kind of keep him involved in this?
Kevin's doing him and Barrett Nelson are doing a hell of a job. They're not going to call them co-coaches, and they switch off. And we watch film. We'll split up old guys, young guys with the coaches that we have, and they'll take turns each day. And so Kev will speak up in that room. Now he feels like an older guy, just like he would if he was playing. Hey, this is what you got to do. This is how it works. This is what the periods are going to look like. And then they switch, and then he's back in with the old guys now, and so he's one of the guys. I think that's the biggest thing, is just keeping him connected, and he's doing a hell of a job.
As far as the snaps go, it seems like after those struggles, Kerry was getting more work at center. Was that a reaction to that? I know he played that last year, but
no, Kerry and Ryan have been the two guys that we see in there, and Ryan had some early, and Kerry jumped in, and It's like, they say the yips in baseball when it's pitching or hitting, and you get that a little bit, it becomes the emphasis, because it's not a hard skill. The hard skill is what you do after it. So everybody's in a hurry to get to the next thing. You just got to slow them down. And when you get a chance to do that, and they get out here and they work on it, take a deep breath, play ball, and they had no issues today. So it's fun to see them move forward in that one.
When you got a center like Jake, who's a veteran, been around a lot of training camps, do you do anything different maybe to push him in terms of like not letting him get in that training camp malaise that older guys can sometimes do?
Yeah, I think, and you talked to him early, and I let him know I'm going to coach you harder than I've coached you. The details, the strain, everything I'm just going to ask for more than I have in the past. And that's what we owe to them as coaches. As a guy gets better, they need more push and more pull.
And so just after, we see you for 2.5 hours a day, but what happens afterwards, just like with meetings and other things, just how's the schedule set up and how does it work to your advantage?
Yeah, I'm probably late to my lunch right now. We'll be watching film by 12:15 as an offensive staff. So we got to get it to go lunch, we got to shower. That'll be my only time in my room until about 9:15. We're meeting, we're with the players, we go back to meetings with the guys, we come out here to walk through, we eat dinner with the guys, and then we have staff just to clean up, make sure we're ready for the next day. It's about 9 o'clock after we have an 8 o'clock team meeting. So let the guys all talk and a connection time, and it's a fun day. It's football. It's what you come out here and it's what you leave town for.